Game against Louisville last night. It was not the prettiest of performances. It wasn't the prettiest of games. Here, Dan, is the play where Book fumbles. It's one of a series of 3 consecutive plays with fumbles.
Yeah, this is really a tribute to being week one. You're not, as a quarterback, not used to getting hit. You see him moving around in the pocket. You don't feel color necessarily around you. Bump into the back of your tight end. Luckily, they recover. Well, they end up getting the ball back given to them by Louisville.
That's right, because Louisville fumbled twice surrounding that play, and it leads to Book getting this chance to take it in from 11 yards. He had 14 carries for 93 yards rushing last night.
And that was a big part because he did not throw the ball well. It started first play of the game.
To the second half we go, and you mentioned it was a tale of 2 halves. He was much better in the second half. Here's Chase Claypool.
And Claypool's the guy. He's the guy that really needs to step forward and replace some of the loss, losing Boykin to the NFL draft. He needs to have a big season.
And here's a 26-yard touchdown to Tommy Tremble. So in the end, the Irish win convincingly. He finishes 14 of 23 for 193. Here's his coach.
He carries the weight of the world on him too much, and he tries to do a little bit too much. I think he settled down in the second half, led our football team the way he's capable of leading them, and got some touchdown passes in the second half. I think it settled them down nicely and played much better in the second half.
I want to be a leader on this team, and I want to lead these guys, week by week and keep winning games. And I feel honored to, be able to be a leader on this team. I'm really excited for this year, and like I said, just happy to be 1-0.
Again, he didn't throw it extraordinarily well, but he did run it well. His 81 yards rushing plus the touchdown, most rushing yards in a game in his career at Notre Dame. And sometimes when a season ends the way theirs did last year, just getting thumped in the playoff against Clemson, it leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth, and understandably so. But they had a very good year last year. They have monster games on the schedule this year at Georgia, at Michigan. Right. So, Paul, they can play their way right back to where they were a year ago if they're good enough to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming off a 27-point loss, one better than Alabama against Clemson. Right. And that's all they needed to do. You can quibble, you can analyze, but they won the game. They could have looked better. They were playing a pretty average team, but you move forward 2 weeks to Georgia, and that's a game that really derailed them 2 years ago up at South Bend. They need to get if they get that game, then suddenly they're a top 5 team.
Well, look, they will go as far as their quarterback takes them. That is certain. So let's look at some tape on Ian Book.
Well, he mentions leadership, right? He struggled for most of the game, but near the end of the first half, after some turnovers, this is a really good job of, okay, I want to pump fake. Watch what this pump fake does on this kind of fake bubble screen to move these linebackers, and then you're going to open up a huge seam for a quarterback draw. And really good of Brian Kelly and his staff understanding my quarterback is struggling. We just got a turnover. How do we get him in some kind of rhythm? This is about 10 seconds left in the half. See him with his vision. Hand is off the ball. That is going to drive defenders to where they need to go or where you're looking. And now you've created even more space. That as a quarterback, the trust to turn your back, that is an experience thing. And then you get the ball in the second half. How do we go on a drive and score some points? Little ball fake. You see this defender staring at the running back. That's going to get him to hesitate just for a second. And the ball comes out at the right time. That matters. You got to get that ball in there before this safety. You hold the second level defender. That safety's going to drop back. This ball needs to come out at the right moment now before he could ever drive. So listen, again, Ian Book did not have a great night, but he talked about wanting to be a leader. Sometimes that is shown in finding ways to make the plays when they present themselves.
In college basketball, they have the expression survive and advance in the tournament. That's sort of what week one is in college football now. There's no preseason. Find a way to win, move on 1-0. The Irish did at minimum that last night. All right, let me get you to the NFL here again. And the Cleveland Browns, who are entering the 2019 season with 14-1 chances of winning the Super Bowl, according to Caesars. The hype train has surrounded the Browns all offseason long. And as they enter week one against Tennessee, the Titans tight end Delanie Walker is welcoming this challenge.
They like to pick the team that they assume is going to be Super Bowl champs because they got guys on that team that they, I guess they can turn the whole organization around, coaches, 2 or 3 guys. But hey, that's how it goes. Let them. I like that they get the hype. Just got to go in there and play football. You know what I mean?
Well, the Browns are obviously getting all of this hype, and the weight of Cleveland is on this franchise. They haven't made the playoffs since 2002, and that is the longest drought in the National Football League. Look, we know the history here. We know how bad they've been and how interesting their offseason was. But, D. Wood, you don't often hear players from other teams commenting on their opponent's offseason hype. Does this Cleveland team, a year removed from 0-16, have a real target on it in a way that you would not normally associate with a team that didn't win anything last year.
Absolutely. I kind of equate it to like when you go out there and win a Super Bowl. The year after, every team plays you like it's their Super Bowl. Well, guess what? All these players from the National Football League, what have they been hearing all offseason? Oh, Cleveland, Odell Beckham Jr., Baker Mayfield, the defense, all these things about the Cleveland Browns. And these guys are sitting back, wait a minute. What have the Cleveland Browns achieved? Why are we all of a sudden anointing the Cleveland Browns? So guess what? They're going to get everybody's A game moving forward. They're now the hunted.
Listen, Baker Mayfield, when he was coming out of the NFL draft, stood at the podium at the NFL Combine and said, I'm the only guy in this draft that can turn Cleveland around. The target has been on his back since that moment. Yeah, the target is on the Browns' back, but they want the target on their back. This kid wants the target on his back since that moment. So this is not going to be something that surprises them. This is where he's going to be at his best. I will say this, for this Week 1 matchup against Tennessee, I love Delanie Walker's comments, but I don't think Baker Mayfield's the most important player on that team in Week 1. Myles Garrett might win Defensive Player of the Year off one game because Tennessee, who's going to have a nasty offensive line for sure, Taylor Lewan's not playing in that game. He's their starting left tackle. Myles Garrett is becoming in the conversation of one of the unblockable players in the NFL. And now the starting left tackle is not going to be there. Myles Garrett's the key to the game for Week 1 in the Cleveland Browns. He might dominate.
Here's what I know, okay? All this talking that the Cleveland Browns have been doing, with it Baker Mayfield, all these, talking about the players, you better make it to the playoffs. Minimum. There's no question. It's minimum. You need to make it into the playoffs.
But they want that, Wood.
I understand. So I understand all that want and all those type of things, but it's a different animal when people are hunting you. I can tell you that from experience.
I don't mean to interrupt. This conversation is good as it is, but we're going to talk about the Jets now, so I'm excited about that. Let's talk about Sam Darnold, who enters his second year in the National Football League, his first in the offense of his new head coach, Adam Gase. New York, of course, adding former Steeler Le'Veon Bell in the offseason. We haven't seen Le'Veon in the preseason. When Darnold was asked what he thought of the identity of his new offense, he responded with one very interesting word.
Electric, man. I think we're going to do some fun things out there, with all the tempo and all the different things that we can do. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch us, and hopefully we're going to put up a lot of points.
Yes, that would be fun. Electric was not the word to describe the Jets last year. They were in the bottom third of the league in points per game, near the bottom in terms of yards per play. This is an entirely new beginning for the Jets. And I will, you know what? No, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. Will the Jets offense be electric this year?
Yes. Yes, they will be. Greeny, imagine this, okay? You go from years and years as a Jets fan of defensive head coaches, defensive-minded head coaches. What do defensive-minded head coaches think? We want to play good defense, and we don't want to turn the ball. We want to protect the football. Now you got an offensive-minded head coach with a young ascending quarterback in Sam Darnold that's just basically saying, let's let it rip, let's let it loose. And you bringing in premier talent into the offense. You don't think that they're going to be able to score points? Absolutely.
Yes, it will be electric. And I want to liken it to, so when you hear Sam Darnold talk about tempos, right? We're going to play with some tempo. Think of a stick shift in a car, right? Like there's multiple speeds you get to. They're going to have a tempo where we're used to seeing football played, huddle, all that stuff. Then there's going to be a second gear where we can play with a little bit more tempo. We'll have a package of plays where we can get to the line of scrimmage. Then we'll go another gear. We can go a little bit faster, maybe take some shots downfield. And then we will put our foot down on the gas and get to that top gear where we're going to go as fast as you can. And what that does to a defense, Greeny, you don't know when the ball is going to get snapped then. You don't know the tempo that you can get in and out of. And I want to remind everyone, the last time we saw Le'Veon Bell on a football field, he had 1,300 yards rushing and 85 catches. Just because he didn't play last year doesn't mean he stinks at football all of a sudden. So you want to talk about the ability to become electric, get one of the best football players on your team, which they have now, and he's on a mission to prove that he was right.
I'll say this, and the point that D. Wood made is a really good one. The last four Jets head coaches in reverse order were Todd Bowles, Rex Ryan, Eric Mangini, Herman Edwards, all defensive guys. And as far as Sam Darnold is concerned, I think they have done everything they can to put him in a position to succeed. They brought in the coach who was supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. They went out and they got the slot receiver in Jamison Crowder. They got Le'Veon Bell, who you just pointed out can do everything in the world behind him.
Semele.
We'll see what their offensive line is. They bring in the guard from Oakland. If the offensive line plays well, they've put the young quarterback in a position to succeed.
Absolutely. They've done everything that you need to do for a quarterback that was the youngest starting quarterback in league history last year.
Let's go. Meanwhile, we have much more to do in this hour of Get Up. Here's another really good young quarterback, Deshaun Watson. I will tell you why the moves the Texans have made this weekend put him on another level. Get Up on ESPN.